Welcome back for another episode of RBP. It is me, Ross Bolen, here with the hottest virtual F1 driver in the world, Jared J-Bone Borislow. It has been a hell of a week, Bone Man.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have brain fog after you got COVID?
Well, when I had COVID, it was like alpha strain, like
OG days.
I was one of the first 120 people to have it in Austin, so it was more of a regal affair. Like I was more so going around doing autographs, like, oh my God,
Right.
Look, it's OG COVID guy. So that I would say cleared my brain up.
Got you. Yeah, I can't tell if I'm just experiencing the post-COVID brain fog, or if I'm just permanently a few dozen IQ points lower than I was before after having a 103 fever for a week. I lost both pounds and brain cells to the fever that I could not afford to lose, frankly. The only reason I sound even mildly coherent today is because I'm on a tea break from smoking the pots. On top of all that...
So you're drinking tea instead of smoking?
Uh-huh.
How does that work?
What do you mean? It's exactly what you said. You drink tea instead of smoking. But this is day 4 for me, on top of all that, of not taking SSRIs, otherwise known as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, otherwise known as antidepressants. So if I slip on my words or pass out from exhaustion mid-show, I do apologize. More on the medication situation later. But speaking of medication and mental health, it is time for insane headlines of the day. And today I just have one. Jared, everybody gets one. One is all you need in this case. From TMZ, Kanye West allegedly spreading rumor Pete has AIDS.
So before the show...
Hold on, I'm not done. ... Confused pals calling Pete.
Wait, so his friends are all...
Oh, we'll get to that. What was your first question?
Before the show, Ross, usually he'll goes, during the sound check, he'll make up something we're talking about today. Today he said, today we're talking about AIDS, and I thought he was kidding.
No, I wasn't joking. This is actually a real headline, a very real story. So, again, from TMZ, Kanye West's bizarre behavior might be at a new low. He's allegedly telling friends Pete Davidson's suffering with AIDS. And while the false rumors gotten back to Pete, people close to Ye are denying it. Sources close to Davidson confirm what DJ Academics claimed earlier this week. Quote, Kanye's been telling everybody within earshot that Pete has AIDS.
So if he goes to a restaurant, everybody around, he's like, yo, Pete's got AIDS.
We're told, apparently, from TMZ, Kanye's claim has made for a few awkward phone calls between Pete and mutual friends he has with Kanye, who are confused and disturbed by the childish behavior. And that is definitely the correct adjective used by TMZ in this case. Dating Kanye's ex is like being in high school again. Like, that's the level of drama you need to be prepared to deal with if you're going to go after Kim K. This man is doing what 15-year-old boys do when someone jacks their girl in the 9th grade. AIDS? Like, come on, man. The guy already has Crohn's disease. Like, he has a legitimate health thing that he deals with, and you're going around telling people he has fucking AIDS? How does this shit even go down? The phone rings and Jay-Z answers what up, Ye? And Kanye's like, what up, Hove? What's up is that Pete Davidson has AIDS. Tell your friends. Peace. Click. Just a bizarre phone call to be making to anyone for any reason ever. And Pete's friends are calling Pete and asking him about this? Hey, Pete, look, Kanye just called and told me you have AIDS. Is this true? Now that is a HIPAA violation.
This might be the biggest HIPAA violation I've ever seen.
Of all time. Because somebody really needs to step up and explain to Kanye that the woman has the right to live her own life and move on beyond their clearly troubled relationship. You gotta let go, man. It is over. You're dating, she's dating, it's over. The furthest you can go in this situation when your wife has left you while remaining classy is to employ your audience to make college game day signage proclaiming your wife left you, and then a year or two later, you can drop t-shirts. That's it. You can't be in the street telling everybody her new man has fucking AIDS. That's the mother of your children, man. Try to show some respect. It is hard dating as a single parent. It's even harder dating when you're Kim Kardashian as a single parent. It's even harder dating when you're Kim Kardashian is a single parent and your baby daddy is Kanye West. And it's the hardest dating as a single parent when you're Kim Kardashian and your baby daddy is Kanye West and he's telling everyone your new boyfriend has AIDS.
It's also like AIDS was like the thing that, like you said, middle schoolers would like throw around when we were kids.
When we were ignorant children, like post-80s AIDS nightmare.
Like, I feel like AIDS obviously still a very serious health issue.
Obviously.
But like, I know it's much more easy to deal with now than it was when we were young. There's many things that can give you, I think a lot of people live full lives.
Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have medications, if you're wealthy and have access to the healthcare system, that can help you live a very normal life. It's just it's a weird...
It's also insulting to everybody who has AIDS to like say, hey, look, Pete sucks. He has AIDS.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Hey, come on, man. Like, I just watched Kanye's first really big interview since the divorce and Donda won. And the man just straight up does not get it. Like, he has this sense of ownership over Kim, isn't even close to understanding the new boundaries that come with his new life situation, and he badly needs a confidant to tell him to chill out and to move forward. The one real takeaway from this entire story is that Julia Fox is 100% along for the ride to increase her clout and brand value and marketing and what have you. Julia Fox being Kanye's new girlfriend, of course.
I thought she was the dumpster. Oh, no, she has a dumpster. My bad.
She has a dump truck.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Getting confused.
She's the co-star to Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. But if you're dating someone and they're still actively engaged in a smear campaign against their ex-wife's new boyfriend, you might have some issues, down the line. Just saying. She seems like a smart woman. Former dominatrix, by the way, if you didn't know that. That's how she came up through NYC, as a dominatrix. That's not a joke. It's very real. Insane story behind Julia Fox and her rise in Hollywood. But she knows what she's doing here. She's just getting hers. So I guess props to the happy couple who is actively engaged in a smear campaign against Pete Davidson saying that he has AIDS. And apparently Donda 2, another album titled Donda, just with the number 2 on the end, is coming in February and will be executive produced by Future. So we have that to look forward to, or mock, or both.
Do you think Donda is going to be okay with a rap verse that surely makes fun of Pete Davidson for having AIDS?
She's going to need to be.
Can you spit a verse right now?
I'm not going to make up AIDS bars about Pete live on the show. That feels inappropriate. But my God, what a mess. I get what he's doing. He's trying to make it as difficult as possible for this guy so that he'll just call it quits. But I don't think that's going to happen. We're like a month into this thing now, and it's just sad watching Kanye flail.
Well, the thing for me is like I could see that strategy working if Kim K sucked. So the longer Pete holds on, the more that Kim K must be a great person to be in a relationship with.
I mean, she seems like a nice lady. She put up with Kanye West for a lot of years. And Kanye West, it turns out, is the type of guy that will smear your new boyfriend saying that he has AIDS.
Well, Kanye...
So, says a lot about him.
Maybe she lied to Kanye, though, because he wrote an entire song about how she wasn't going to leave him.
He's gotten some mixed messaging over the years, I'm sure.
I know you ain't leave.
But then she did. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Birddogs, making the most comfortable shorts in the world with the built-in underwear you know and love for living life and making love. It's like, why wear shorts with underwear when you can wear even better shorts with the underwear built in, thus creating less laundry, thus saving the planet, thus making you a hero who is also better looking and more comfortable. Birddogs, you silly bastard. And they also make pants for these winter months, pants for work, pants for play. Their new joggers are next level comfortable. J-Bone is wearing a pair of them right now. He's actually actively touching himself over them, which is mildly sexual and inappropriate, but that's where we're at today with AIDS jokes and Birddogs pants. So check out the new Birddogs joggers on birddogs.com. Grab yourself a pair. I absolutely love mine. I wear them to sleep at night. Sometimes also during the day, I just wake up and don't even change. I just go about my business and then even work out in them, which is to say when I wear them, they stay on for a full 24 hours because they're the most comfortable pants that I own.
Okay, can I tell you an honest secret?
Mm-hmm.
And Birddogs people, corporate listening right now,
Sure.
You're going to like this. I put this pair of Birddogs on yesterday at around 9:45 a.m. and I have not taken them off since. Fell asleep on my couch in them last night when my fiance came home from work, woke me up. I walked right into bed, had them on, left them on, came into work today.
That's about 30 hours, 30-ish hours.
And they feel as good as when I put them on.
Which is also a Kanye West song, 30 hours. Anyway, what's more, for being an RBP listener, when you use the code RBP at checkout on Birddogs.com, Birddogs is giving away free whistling footballs like the little Nerf football you grew up with knowing and loving. When you throw it through the air, it whistles. It's a whistling football. Spring is coming, summer's right after that, and you're going to want a whistling football that's orange with Birddogs branding smeared on it. So make sure you go to Birddogs.com, use the code RBP, get yourself some of the most comfortable pants or shorts in the world, with or without the built-in underwear you know and love, and grab yourself a Birddogs whistling football using code RBP at checkout on Birddogs.com. Jared, one of my all-time favorite comics.
Gallagher?
No, Aziz Ansari. Close. Who had kind of faded from the public eye really since the Me Too movement began, and he had some issues to work through related to his handling of women, I suppose. But Aziz Ansari, you're familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in,
Parks and
Recreation was his big come up after the fact. He has his own show, Masters of None, on Netflix as well.
30 Minutes or Less, right? With that movie with Dan McBride and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And Mark Zuckerberg guy.
Mark's the guy who played Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, that's all I know him as well. What's his real name? Jesse Smollett.
Jesse Heisenberg.
Smollett. That was it. Jesse Heisenberg Smollett. Yeah. Anyway, Aziz had it had been a minute since I'd heard from him or seen anything really about him, and he released a new stand-up special, or it's like a mini special, as it were. It's called Nightclub Comedian on Netflix, and the premise is actually pretty great. He goes back to the first comedy club in New York City that he ever did stand-up in, and I believe it was when he was at NYU. When he started doing stand-up in New York City at this little Comedy Cellar. And they have, he just shows up there like unannounced, the first place he ever did stand-up, now as an adult, obviously, on a random night, and just sits down to do a 30-minute set at this tiny venue. Nobody knew he was coming, not even the owners. Nobody knew. Total surprise performance. And you actually get footage of him as a kid performing there like 20 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is tight. Back when like he was at NYU or whatever, and one of his classmates was apparently doing a documentary, and like part of it was filming Aziz like showing up to the venue, like going down, like getting up on the mic and doing stand-up. So it's really, really cool to see super young Aziz footage mixed in with this new stuff. But as far as the material goes, it was a little underwhelming. Like, it was all right. I'm not trying to be a hater here, but it was pretty casual, very laid back in terms of like, I mean, he's just making COVID jokes and shit, which everybody's been doing for quite a while, right? Like for a full fucking 2 years now. So it's a difficult thing to pull off if you're going to kind of make it the focus of like a special. Otherwise, updating us on his life, basically. Like he kind of half goes at anti-vaxxers, but really fails to make any point whatsoever in that regard. So it just ends up feeling like disappointing that you're discussing it at all, because it doesn't make you feel better after the fact, and we already knew that was a massive problem, like and divisive problem in our country and around the world. So the overall content of this little mini special was a bit ho-hum, while I was also extremely happy to see Aziz back in the saddle. Like, stand-up needs Aziz, or I hope it still needs Aziz. And one of the things that comes out during the course of this little mini special is that he moved to London. Like, he's not even living here anymore. He abandoned ship. He's one of those people. He actually pulled the ripcord, though.
Like all the people when Trump got elected who are like, I'm moving to Canada, and they didn't.
And he was like, actually, fuck it, I'm out. Going across the pond to London town. Peace. And that's where he's been at. So apparently Aziz lives in London now. Did not know. But Jared, one thing he did get into during his set is something you and I have discussed pretty regularly as of late. Screen time.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you what Aziz has got going. He switched to a flip phone.
Ross, if I did not work in social media, I probably would have done this by now.
Jared, you're going to love this. He also has no social media. It's all some lady, he says. Like, the accounts still exist and they promote his stuff or whatever, but it's not him. He literally, quote, it's just some lady. Like, he doesn't even fucking know who's in charge of the marketing on his social media. And I have never been more jealous of anyone in my entire life than hearing him explain that. I want a flip phone so bad, the one like that only does calls and texts, and as he puts it in the special, even then, you really have to want to send that text message, because it's a lot more difficult with the individual number clicking than it is with your iPhone.
Do you think he uses T9 texting?
Yes. Yeah, he's back on the T9 life, like dead ass. He uses that phrase and everything.
Now I'm thinking about it. Like the kids these days, like anybody listening right now who's probably younger than 25?
Probably. Doesn't even know what that is. Yeah.
We used to have to text using the 10 keys on a phone, or
like the 3.
11, there were 11 keys.
3 letters per number.
Yes.
So you'd have to click like multiple times to get to the letter that you wanted if you were using T9 way back when text messaging first became a thing.
Well, no, T9 was the upgrade to that, right? So instead of hitting, yeah, you remember, instead of hitting 1 twice to get B, you would type in the word "the" by hitting whatever the 3 numbers were, and the algorithm of T9, which was absolutely freaking out of this
our
world.
minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going, how does it know I want to say "the" and not
Yeah. No, dude, it really was mind-blowing. This was the first huge technological jump in text messaging that made it like a realistic everyday form of communication, because before that it really was a pain in the ass, almost like writing a letter. But yeah, you're right. T9 was the advance beyond the original multi-click situation.
And now, have you ever done swipe texting, which is the current iteration?
I have. It is fun, but I always forget it exists.
Yes.
It always slips my mind.
Like, and the thing is, it's not like you have to turn it on. Like right now, if you have an iPhone right now, if you're listening to this, go and type a text message without ever lifting your finger off the screen, and I'm about to blow your mind because it's gonna be perfect.
And it's really, really fun. Like a fun way to do the texting. But I for whatever reason, my old boomer brain will not submit that as an option when I'm texting.
I know.
I don't know why.
It's a bit much. I'm also, how do you hold your phone?
Oh, let me think.
People, they call me the claw or whatever.
You do the claw?
I type with my left index and my thumb.
Oh, wow. I'm 2 thumbs like normal people. You're telling me you go left index finger, right thumb?
Yes.
What the hell?
I don't like, the thumb is weird to me. Because it like covers it to the screen, and then I feel like my phone is so long it's going to fall out the top.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever we got to like the 12 Max Pro and these phones got to be bigger and bigger, this whole how do you hold it situation has gotten more and more difficult, especially for those of us with regular or below average sized hands.
I've got a question. Speaking of how do you hold it, if you're going pee,
how do I hold that?
Do you hold it like a cigarette?
Yeah. Always. Right? That's everybody, right?
Yeah. Because then if anybody looks at you, you chuck the deuce at them at the same time.
Exactly. Anyway, good to see Aziz back, but I am looking for other stand-up to watch for inspiration as I continue writing my own shit. So if there's like any obscure stuff out there or any comics you think I should check out that are not the obvious ones, like don't throw out obvious shit. Most of the big-time mainstream acts we are all familiar with. But hit me with recommendations, because I could use some female stand-up recs, honestly. There's just not that many that get promoted as heavily through my Netflix algorithm as the dudes, like Tom Segura and Bert the Machine. What's his last name? Kreischer, and basically all of Rogan's boys.
Did you know that a lot of these people live in Austin?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of stand-ups down here in Austin, Texas.
Which is funny because our stand-up scene is absolute garbage.
It's dog shit, but we have a great alcoholic presence in this town, and I feel like that draws a lot of the stand-ups here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, holler at me on social with your favorite stand-up specials and comics that you don't think I've heard of at WR Bolen. Muchos gracias. Today's episode is also brought to you by Felix Gray Glasses. 5 years ago, Felix Gray set out to create eyewear that would improve daily screen time, and since then, Felix Gray has been on a mission to create a better relationship with technology. Felix Gray lenses filter 15 times more blue light that can make screen time tough on eyes and disruptive to sleep. I've been working on the internet for over a decade now, spending like 10 hours a day staring at screens. My eyes get worn the hell out, and when I'm done with work, I like to relax by watching my favorite shows and movies, and by also gaming, all of which involve screens. So a couple years ago, when I was introduced to Felix Gray, everything changed. These glasses are the quality of designer frames, and this isn't some cheap blue light coating like painted over them that's going to chip off. Never happens. No chipping, no cheapness, just incredibly quality designer frames that are stylish and functional as they protect your eyes from all the blue light that the screens we rely upon emit. There's no cutting back on screen time if you're in an industry like mine or like Jared's, as much as we hope and wait and dream of the day that we can eventually cut ourselves away from the screen time that Jared and I have to deal with. But you can do your eyes a solid and get yourself some Felix Grays to get relief from the stuff like headaches and dry eyes and blurry vision and what have you that occurs over the course of your workday. I have like 6 pairs now, but my favorite frames for y'all to check out, including the ones on my face, are the Nash. These are the Nash, Gnash. Love them. Got them in a couple different colors, including clear. And then Faraday, Faraday, and then the West. Those are the 3 that I would recommend. So start the new year off on the right foot with Felix Gray. Use our URL, felixgrayglasses.com/RBP to support the show and get free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges. Non-prescription and prescription are available. They've got readers. They've got nighttime glasses specifically designed to help you get to sleep. So check them all out.
I'm a Kepler guy, by the way. My favorite frames are the Kepler. I've got them in both blue light and sunglasses.
Kepler. So
they
check
have
them out.
Sunglasses, by the way.
They do. They do. There's a pair behind me. Right there. Look at them. They're beautiful. Check them out now, felixgrayglasses.com/RBP. That's FELIXGRAY glasses.com/RBP for free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges. felixgrayglasses.com/RBP.
Grab your light. This is Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
I did it that time. I timed it. If you're watching on YouTube, which you're probably not, but I did time it. Today's Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high, which I am not, is John Zizka of Trochnov and the Chalice.
This sounds like a child's, like a young adult book.
Yeah, fortunately, we're not doing another one of those, though.
Oh,
I think
God.
Love You Forever scarred enough people.
How many
And,
DMs have you gotten?
Dude, more responses to that segment, book, and discussion than most things we have talked about on this show in the history of the podcast. It's pretty wild. Like, speaking of which, Robert Munch, the author, now knows we exist.
How?
He liked one of our posts on the Ross Bolen podcast Instagram today.
Wow.
No shit. Yeah. People helping people, connecting the world, healing the world with comedy. But this dude, John Zizka of Trochnov and the Chalice, which is just a next level name. He was a Czech general, a contemporary and follower of John Hus and a radical Hussite who led the Taborites. I don't know what any of that means, and it really doesn't matter. The story is this. Zizka was a successful military leader and is now a Czech national hero. He was nicknamed One-Eyed Zizka, having lost one and then both eyes in battle,
So
which
isn't he Zero Eye Zizka now?
you need to update the nickname, my Czech friends. You can't just stick with One-Eyed Zizka when he in fact has no eyes. That's confusing. But Zizka led Hussite forces against 3 crusades and never lost a single battle despite being completely blind in his late stages of life.
I'm not saying that I think this might be a sensationalized, story, but
Well, we know Wikipedia is the world's encyclopedia and never lies.
how bad are these opponents?
How the fuck do you lose one and then both eyes in battle and still lead armies against 3 crusades and not lose a battle?
Do you know this is literally like the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
'Tis a flesh wound.
It's merely a face wound.
Get back here. I just don't understand. It's like, men, today we move west. And then someone's like, General Zizka, that's east. Men, today we move east. Like, I don't doubt that there are plenty of things you can do effectively without sight, but I had no freaking idea leading armies into battle was one of them. As you know, it seems like seeing would help there. But Zizka's tactics were apparently unorthodox and innovative. In addition to training and equipping his army according to their abilities, which I thought all armies did, he used armored wagons fitted with small cannons and muskets, anticipating the tank of 500 years later. Zizka, the zero-eyed general, was apparently creating a forward-thinking version of a tank long before that technology existed.
So they're giving Zizka credit for creating the tank. This dude stuck a cannon on a wagon, and they're giving him credit. Come on, what a reach,
Dude, it's One-Eyed Zizka with no eyes. He probably didn't even know where he was telling him to put the fucking cannon. That's the beauty of it. It also says he exploited geographic features to the full. Not just partially, Jared. That's innovative. And maintained good discipline in his armies, Which again, I just thought generally was the idea when it comes to armies.
I'm imagining him being like, yes, my soldiers are always very well disciplined, and they're just standing in front of him like flicking him off, and he has no idea.
Doing jack-off motions and shit in his face. Doesn't have a fucking clue. It says he had to quickly train peasants to repeatedly face highly trained and armored opponents who usually outnumbered his own troops. A monument was erected on the Witkov Hill in Prague to honor Zizka and his victory on this hill in 1420. It is the third largest bronze equestrian statue in the world.
I think I saw this statue when I went to Prague.
No shit.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure I saw a large horse statue.
I wonder if they put one eye or any eyes onto him in the statue, or if he's zero-eyed Zizka at that point.
If I had a photographic memory, I could tell you, but unfortunately,
it's a damn shame.
it's more of like a Polaroid.
Polaroid memory.
Some of them didn't develop.
I have to shake you up to get it to appear.
You
Apparently,
you got to jerk me off.
Well, okay, we'll do that after the show. But apparently during World War II, a number of military units were named after Zizka. One of them, the 1st Czechoslovakian Partisan Brigade of Zizka, was among the first anti-Nazi guerrilla units occupied Czechoslovakia. A Yugoslav partisan brigade of the same name was formed in western Slovenia on the 26th of October 1943 and operated in areas inhabited by a large Czech and Slovak minority. And in the game Age of Empires 2, Definitive Edition, Dawn of the Dukes, there is a single-player campaign of Jan Zizka. Have you ever played Age of Empires? That was one I played when I was a kid.
Wasn't really a real-time strategy guy. I'm too stupid.
Dude, I did a lot, like a shocking amount of real-time strategy games, you know, for anybody who knows anything about me and the scum that I spend my time playing now, which is like Apex Legends and Halo, mostly shooters. Like I played Shogun Total War.
Yeah, you always talk about that
for
one.
a ton of hours, man. And I still think about it like fairly regularly and wonder if there's an edition out there that's worthy of playing in 2022. But it's neither here nor there. Today's stuff to Wikipedia when you're high. One-eyed Zizka, who had no eyes and also got credit for inventing the tank because he put a cannon in a wagon.
When I went to, we went to Prague, and actually I was streaming on Twitch for Formula Bone a while back, and there's a guy watching from Czech Republic.
No shit.
And I was just rattling out all the Czech stuff I knew from when I went to Prague for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And so one of them is another Czech national hero named the Good Soldier Švek.
The Good Soldier Švek?
And I don't know anything about him, so we might need to cover him next. All I know is I ate at a restaurant in his honor, and I have a coaster, like a coaster you put your drink on.
Yeah.
And I've had that in my childhood bedroom for now like 20 years or whatever since I went to Prague. But I still don't know what the Good Soldier Švek's deal is.
We are a Prague podcast now. Who saw that coming? Not a single fucking one of you.
It's a cool city.
Yeah.
So I don't want to throw around the word overrated.
For Prague?
It's really cool. It's very old, very historic. Maybe I also went when I couldn't drink yet, so like I couldn't, drink all the pivo.
I thought the drinking age in Europe was like 14. Is it not?
No, there's a lot of countries where it's still 18, and I think I was like 15 or 16 when I went.
Did you go to Belgium at all?
No. I would like to go to the lowlands. I would like to go to Belgium and the Netherlands.
Well, I'd like to go anywhere over there. I still have not been to anywhere in Europe. I'm completely uncultured swine.
And you strike me as the kind of guy who like, oh man, I really want to go to Paris.
Why?
I don't know.
Because it's the city of love and you see me as a romantic at heart?
I just feel like that's where you'd want to go. Because that's like, as somebody who never left the country, it's probably where you've seen the most.
I think London is where I most want to go because my mom and my grandparents, well, not my mom, but my grandparents, my mom's parents lived there while my mom was in college for several years, and my aunt lived there, and I've just heard a lot about it and seen lots and lots of pictures of it, but never been, and that feels weird at this point.
I like London. That was my first big European city because we flew in. The first time I went to Europe, we flew into Ireland.
How many times have you been?
Twice.
Fuck.
Both I was under the age of 16, so I haven't experienced it as an adult.
Yeah, that's a totally different Europe.
My brother's in Europe right now, again.
He is?
Yes.
Shouts to Jeff.
Shouts to Jeff. If you want to hear Jeff on RBP, go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, the Borislow Zone. Many people
one of the
say
all-time great episodes.
Yeah, many people say it's one of the best episodes of all time. He just went to France again. He was just in France for like 2 months.
That is no bullshit. Like, I think both the interview with your mom that we did years ago on Patreon and the episode that you and I did with Jeff when he was in town helping us set up the original iteration of our whole video and production setup that we have here at Bolen Media now, those are two in like my top 10, which is just, there's so much Borislow in my brand now. Mm-hmm. And people are begging for more Bone Zone in 2022. We need more Bone Zone I don't know why I said it like that.
The Bone Zone.
The Bone Zone, yeah, hon.
Now, the only issue we have with the Bone Zone is that whenever we do a Bone Zone, our video gets demonetized because there's a there's a copyright claim to the Bone Zone music by the estate of the now deceased Andrew Gold, the writer of Spooky Scary Skeletons.
Yeah, it's really fucking annoying. Anytime we put it up on YouTube, man, we get flagged and it says Spooky Scary Skeletons. What's his name?
Andrew Gold.
Andrew Gold.
I believe he's deceased. I think it's his estate. Which begs the question: how about all the TikTokers who did the remix of Spooky Scary Skeletons, where they just sped it up two times and added in bass?
Does that count?
Well, it's getting taken off now because apparently the estate of Andrew Gold is somewhat litigious.
That's absurd. But also, we're going to talk about something related a little bit. Well, I'll just talk about it now. This morning, I got a notification from Apple Music, which I do not have, that XXXTentacion, the late hip-hop artist, dropped a new single. And I was just like, how the fuck? He died 4 years ago, man. Like, how the fuck does this even happen? And one of our listeners actually informed me that apparently it's an old SoundCloud song. And you know how it is with late artists. There's all types of legal loopholes and situations that have to be resolved to make sure that the family or whoever's actually supposed to be getting paid off his work is getting paid off his work. But still, it always rubs me the wrong way, man. Because when I was a kid, they did this for like several albums of Tupac and Biggie shit, and it was never as high quality as you know it would have been if those artists were still alive, and that bummed me out. So as far as estates go, there's another little estate-related topic for today.
Did you ever watch the Juice WRLD documentary?
Not yet. No, I haven't been. Honestly, I just haven't been in a place where, like, mentally I felt comfortable going there yet, because I know it's going to be kind of dark and sad, as all things Juice WRLD are, and every song he ever made is. Obviously, the dude dies of a drug overdose, so it's not like a happy ending, per se. But I will get there eventually. As I said at the top of the show, today is actually day 4 of me not taking any medication. No SSRI, no Xanax, no weed. I just haven't smoked since I got COVID, so however long that is. But the point is, after 9 months, 9 full months of weaning down slowly from 20 milligrams to 15 milligrams to 10 milligrams to 7.5 to 5 to 2.5 to now 0, I am fully off of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, otherwise known as antidepressants. And it's funny because they don't make those dosages. You have to create them yourself with a fucking razor blade or kitchen knife. It is the least tactical and scientific method of all time. It is infuriating.
Wait, really?
Yes, and it should be illegal. I feel good now, day 4. Pretty clear-headed, minus the COVID brain fog and the lack of pots, but I felt absolutely terrible the first day. Got a little better day 2, a little better day 3. Pretty damn solid today, so I'm getting better every day and extremely, extremely happy with the results so far. But people keep asking me, why are you getting off? Like people who don't follow the show and see me tweeting about it or putting stuff on Instagram. A lot of people, particularly that are on SSRIs themselves. And look, I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend I'm trying to talk anybody else out of doing anything that's related to their own health. That's your health situation that you need to handle with your doctor, your psychiatrist, your general practitioner or whatever. That is not what I'm trying to do here. But to answer that question, why am I getting off? Why have I gotten off? I started taking SSRIs to help me with anxiety behind the wheel. That was the whole reason I started taking them. I was struggling with panic attacks and having little anxiety attacks while I was driving my car. Way too frequently this was occurring, and I was like, I got to do something to try to fix this. And at the time, the doctor that I had was like, well, let's try to get you on an SSRI, on an antidepressant, because those things apparently had some success treating these types of issues. So when I got on originally, it was Prozac when I first got on, and it didn't work. Just point blank, it didn't fucking work. And when I tried to get off Prozac back during my first marriage, I became wildly depressed, had serious issues with anxiety during the weaning off process. And so like 70%-ish of the people who attempt to get off these antidepressant drugs, I could not do it. And I was eventually put on a new one instead called Vibrid. And that worked for a while, like a year or something, sort of, but not really. When it came to anxiety behind the wheel, it was more helpful with just general anxiety and the depression that I had incurred coming off of Prozac, which, by the way, I had never experienced before taking Prozac, which was frustrating. It helped with that as well, so I was happy about that. And historically, antidepressants and SSRIs in men can cause some issues with like sexual stuff with your ding-a-ling. And you don't want that. Nobody wants that. You want your ding-a-ling to operate as it should. And the Vibrid kind of countered that. Like it made it to where I didn't experience any of those issues.
I thought you were going to say it made it so you always
just
were
hard all the time, Jared. Just rock hard, running around with a boner. But eventually, the Vibrid stopped working. And not only stopped working, like it was overreactive. Like I was overamped and over-energized and dealing with all kinds of psycho side effects and generally extremely unhappy with how it was affecting me on a day-to-day. So once again, I decided to get off these drugs. But this time, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by people who supported me in the way that I needed. My girlfriend in particular, who is a single mother, by the way, a fucking hero person, who stood by me and helped me survive even through manic episodes and suicidal ideations. And honestly, I still barely fucking survived. Like, I am lucky to be here. And I do not say that lightly. I will spend the rest of my life thanking her and Jared and Cade and everyone who helped me get through this ridiculous process, including a lot of you listening who have reached out and shared your own stories and experiences and even just talked to me when I was in a low place and when you could tell how it would blow your fucking mind, Jared, how many messages I got from people who were like, hey man, like on days I had not posted anything, like, hey man, just thinking about you and what you're going through and wanted you to know, like, we're all so proud of you and what you're trying to accomplish. And I like that meant so much to me. So like to put this in perspective, Chris was still our co-host when I started the process.
Of weaning off?
Yes. That's how long it took. 9 fucking months of hell. I literally had to birth myself. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. And in the coming weeks on Patreon, I will be doing a series of mental health minisodes discussing what this was like for me, going into more detail about what I learned throughout the process, particularly as it relates to therapy, people who are empaths like me, very sensitive, emotionally sensitive people like me, and how SSRIs affect emotionally sensitive people like me, and just sharing my story about, you know, what this was all about and how I'm feeling as I come out of the fog, and I'm excited. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in addition to the weekly ad-free episodes that occur on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, Jared and I do them every Friday when we aren't dealing with a COVID scheduling nightmare that has caused us to fall into a little bit of disarray here, but we're going to be caught up for y'all soon, I promise. But I also do these mental health minisodes on Patreon for our enforcers and our OGs. So when time and COVID permit, I've got some making up to do. You can sign up today and access the entire backlog, though, between now and then, of all of our ad-free episodes that Jared and I have done together, and even the ones before the J-Bone era began, although I would highly recommend just getting, if you're looking to get started, if you've never been on Patreon and you're like, oh shit, there's been an episode dropping every week that I wasn't aware of, just start at the beginning of the J-Bone era. That gives you a good solid, like, what? I don't know, 40 episodes to go through right there.
And if you want to get really crazy, I used to do Patreon episodes and our repeat episodes with Ross before I worked here full time.
That's true.
Back in early 2020.
There is an insane amount of content on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast for those of you supporting our show with a direct financial contribution each and every month, a minimum of just $5. So go today, sign up. Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. I said this on Twitter, but I want to say it again here. I cannot stress enough how important it is to surround yourself with friends who are willing to talk through the heavy stuff. The heavy stuff is not avoidable. It comes for us all. And when it does, you need a team. Nobody can do this alone and enjoy it. I'm not saying you can't do it alone, but you can't do it alone and enjoy it. It's just not possible. And when I say it, I mean fucking life, bro. That's just a fact to me at this point. Like, as an example of somebody just out of the blue who I spoke with over this past week, big shouts and respect to Armin Kaleshin, our resident celebrity photographer. Armin is awesome. We interviewed him on Patreon months ago. Jared and I did. And he actually texted me out of nowhere. He lives in LA. Like I said, he's like a legitimate celebrity photographer. And when I say legitimate, I mean like he's in the fucking studio with Game, taking pictures of him over the past couple weeks as he's like been doing his new album. He actually barely missed the recording session with Game and Kanye where they made the song Easy, where Ye jokes that God saved him from that crash so he could beat Pete Davidson's ass. Like, Armin was almost in that room. But he did the Kanye West, Drake, free Larry Hoover concert. He was there taking amazing photographs of that. Like I've said several episodes ago, he's putting like some kind of book together. But Armin hit me up out of nowhere and shared his story and related to his experience with this whole mental health game. And he really gave me the motivation and strength I needed to see the first couple days of this medicationless streak through. I thought he was a good dude before, but like that, I'm not joking, like that dude is my brother permanently, forever, based on our couple conversations earlier this week. They meant so much to me. So if you have people going through tough shit, reach out to them, check on them, be there for them if you're lucky enough to be in a good place yourself. But really, especially if you're in a bad place yourself, like be there for them, and in turn, they will be there for you, and you can support each other. And one of the things that helped me get through this 9 months was really focusing on my DMs and people that have hit me up, whether it be questions about like how to quit drinking alcohol or like, what's the deal with pot and airplane peanuts?
What's the deal with airplane food?
Like it just, these conversations I've gotten to have with people, connecting with other human beings and the shared experience was an enormous source of strength for me through what I've repeatedly said was the most difficult set of circumstances I've ever endured in my entire life. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. You are not alone. None of us needs to feel alone. And while we talk about a lot of goofy shit like Kanye accusing Pete Davidson of having AIDS on this show, that is what it's really all about, is that I want to promote that message. You are not alone. Speaking of which, big announcement. We are officially making 2022 the year of the dog. Somebody said, well, after Georgia won the national championship, you have no choice.
It's true.
And I was like, that's actually a very good point.
Go Dogs.
Yeah, go Dogs. Next week, our first episode, Monday, we will get into why we are doing 2022 as the year of the dog, but also my two dogs were a huge part of getting me through the last 2 years as well in this last 9 months. And year of the dog is happening, baby. So let's go.
And I also have a dog.
You do. Millie and Vanilli.
Millie has never been in the studio before because I'm scared of what she might do. We have she's a bigger dog. She's like 45 pounds.
Yeah, she's a big girl.
We got, it's a small studio. We got a lot of wires that are plugged into things. We got cameras that we need both of. If one goes out, we're screwed.
Yeah, she would tackle one of these for sure, 100%. I feel like she would see your face on this camera screen and then just like take this thing out mid-show, which actually might make for great podcasting.
But, we'll definitely have some Millie content, some Bruce and Bella content on social.
Yeah, we'll also have to come up with some dog-related merch, maybe some Millie, Bruce, and Belly merch for everybody. But speaking of merch, go to bolenmedia.com/shop and get yourself a Ross Bolen's Wife Left Me t-shirt.
Okay, so we did a update to the store like last week, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know, like I was not privy because of the whole COVID thing. Like you guys did some stuff behind the scenes. I didn't know we were dropping a bunch of new stuff. I knew we were dropping the official shirt of the Bone Zone, which you can get right now at bolenmedia.com/shop. It's amazing.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
A skeleton wearing Birkenstocks playing its own rib cage as a skeleton. Shouts to Ricky Prosper.
Shouts to Ricky. He also made our logo.
But now I had no idea that we were adding in so many new designs, including one.
Ross Bolen's Wife Left Me.
This is Ross Bolen's Wife Left Me. I knew we joked about that idea. We joked about that shirt, and I was like, yeah, we're never making that.
Honestly, that was like 100% our lawyer, B. Rankin. He was like, hey, please make this shirt. And I was like, all right, man, I guess we can make it for you. It doesn't cost us anything to like make it available. And he ordered 3.
We've already got pictures of people sending in selfies of them wearing. It's flying off the shelves.
The weird thing is, I think people think it'll be gone or something, like that we're gonna get sued or I'll have to pull it down, because people keep ordering multiples, like 3 of the same size. Brandon was the first, but then there have been multiple other people where I've seen an order come through and they've gotten like 3 of it.
Maybe they're trying to wear. Maybe somebody's gonna do like a 15 order for a bachelor party.
Oh, anyway, so that's available, along with like this beautiful, if you can read this, You Are Not Alone coffee mug, and all kinds of great stuff. The Formula Bone hat that J-Bone is wearing right now, the RBP hat, the new RBP hat that I'm wearing right now, all kinds of good stuff there on bolenmedia.com/shop.
Yeah, bolenmedia.com/shop. All day. So many things. You could outfit yourself for the rest of the year wearing just Bolen Media stuff. Nobody ever expected us to come out of the gates with this much merch. We have so much merch after having none for like 2 years. If you send me in a picture, or if you post a picture of your entire bachelor party wearing Ross Bolen's Wife Left Me shirts, I will Venmo you $100 for shots at a bar.
I'll throw in $100 too. Yeah, if you got a whole bachelor party wearing that shirt, that's just too goddamn funny.
Minimum
tonight.
6 people.
Yeah, minimum 6 people. Yeah, that's the only qualifier I'll throw on there. That can't happen that often, right? You and I are gonna go broke. Anyway, Jared and I will be back with our regular schedule next week. You know, we hope, health permitting. Knock on drywall. And between now and then, holler at us on social media, at Jared Borislow on Twitter and Instagram, at WR Bolen on Twitter and Instagram. Follow our show, The Ross Bolen Podcast, at The Ross Bolen Podcast on TikTok, where we're almost up to like 65,000 followers now. And on Instagram, of course, and then we are on Twitter, at Ross Bolen Pod. For those of you who are unaware, Jared and I both do a little twitching in our spare time, me much more sparingly. Jared has a full-blown Twitch schedule now for twitch.tv/FormulaBone, where if you are a fan of Jared at all, it does not even matter if you enjoy F1 or give a shit about F1 racing. Watching this man race these fucking F1 cars, and it's called F1 2021, I believe, the game, on twitch.tv/FormulaBone is riveting and hilarious. What is the name of the character you've created for your season you're doing?
Yeah, so the whole thing of this is like, I'm racing, but like, it's a career mode where you have a ton of decisions to make, upgrades to the car, decisions about how you want your guy to appear in the media.
And strategy around how you want to run the races.
All of this, and I let chat decide it all. So obviously, I let chat pick my racer's name, the name of my F1 team, my number, my initials, because every racer has like 3 initials that go on the scoreboard.
Hold on, Jared. Hey, if you're listening right now, I'm going to give you 2 seconds. Guess what number chat picked for Jared's car? That is correct.
Yeah. So,
and you should have seen that coming from a million miles away.
I did. And here's the annoying thing, right? How racing works is you get a number, right?
And if you're not first, you're last.
Well, yeah. If number 1, it works. If you're not first, you're last. How it works with numbers is like usually a driver will have a number, they'll use it their whole career, they'll have cool logos made that like incorporates their initials into the number. So I was like, hey chat, here's the deal. I want you to please pick either 18 or 78 so I can make it into a JB for J-Bone. It's going to be really cool. Like, I really want you guys to do this. Chat, I know what you're going to pick, but please vote for that. And then I'm pretty sure later on I said I would give 5 gifted subs if they didn't pick
69?
I think it was for that one.
And they still did.
And they still picked 69. And then, so anyways, here's the deal. Luckily, I got them to name me J-Bone.
Right.
My name is J Dash, is my first name, which is also
funny.
The WAP. It's the WAP guy.
It's just WAP. You keep saying the WAP.
WAP.
It makes it so much more official. It's like when fucking Justin Timberlake had to walk in and tell Zuckerberg to drop the off Facebook. You just haven't had that moment yet.
Then for my number, of course, chat voted 69.
J-Bone, number 69.
Now, my initials, which usually your initials are, like, for example, if my last name is Borislow, my initials would be B-O-R.
Sure.
Max Verstappen, V-E-R. Lewis Hamilton, H-A. Usually it's the first 3 letters of your last name, or if you have a long last name, you could make it so it's, like, more indicative of what your last name is.
Is Hamilton's Ham?
Yeah, Ham.
That's great.
Ham. Now, mine is B-N-R.
Boner.
And for a name, for when the announcer, like, says your name, they only have the pre-built-in ones, right? So it's like they have all the.
You got to pick a nickname. Yeah,
you got to pick it's a sound, right? So it's like, for example, you could pick Johnson, and it goes Johnson, which was one that people voted on because Johnson is a euphemism for penis.
It is.
Then there's all the current drivers' names. Then there's just like Smith, who's not a current driver, but like they'll have common names,
generic stuff too. Yeah.
So I went through the whole thing, picked out. Chat got to pick out the ones they wanted the most, and the one that they liked the most was Wang. So now everybody in my chat, which we peaked at 94.
94 live viewers watching Jared race in this, and it's not like he's just sitting in a chair at his desk with a fucking mouse and keyboard or controller. The man has a full-blown, what is known as a sim rig that it basically simulates like he's in a race car with a full-blown steering wheel and pedals. And there's 90 people in chat yelling out Wang Gang.
Yeah, because after they named me Wang, they all declared themselves as the Wang Gang. And so now whenever I'm racing, they all yell Wang Gang in chat.
At one point, I got in there, like, between eating dinner and getting ready for bed, and I saw that my mom was in chat yelling out Wang Gang, and I was just like, okay, we've really gotten things off to a hot start here on the twitch.tv/Formula Bone. So if you're into Twitch, if you're into gaming, if you're into me and Jared, any of those things qualify you really. But especially if you're an F1 fan, you will love what Jared has going on twitch.tv/Formula Bone. And in my case, I'm randomly, periodically on playing Halo or Apex or whatever on twitch.tv/Boss Roland. But for everybody listening today and everybody who's ever supported us on Twitch, we really, really need you to go to twitch.tv/Formula Bone. At the very least, give Jared a follow. But if you've got Amazon Prime, hit him with a sub. We're trying to blow that channel up. It is our best chance at actually making a dent on Twitch and making partner if Jared can keep anywhere near the momentum he had last night for his upcoming streams, which we all know he can.
Monday, by the way. This coming Monday, January 31st, is the second race of my season. It's a 22-race season, second race of the season at Imola, very historic Formula One track. And the last thing I'll say, like, it's literally like improv. Like, it's like if you like Formula One, you'll like it more probably. But like,
it's a live performance.
It's a live performance with chat, where chat makes decisions. Another thing chat did, I let them pick how I decided to make my team prepare for the season. And usually it's like you can go to driver training camp or you can work on your aerodynamics. My chat picked the first thing they wanted me to do was sell merch.
Yeah, that everybody knows that makes you faster.
So and this is a new team, right? So before the season started, the team it's unknown in F1. It's called Bone Zone F1 team, of course.
Of course.
They picked that, luckily. They didn't screw me over there, and they didn't screw me over my name, so I'm okay with being Boner Wang 69.
Wang Gang.
Wang Gang. So, and then after we sold merch, we had our livery reveal, the car reveal, and then you have one other chance to do something before the season. Again, driver training camp. It's a good idea. Work on your chassis. Make your car. No, they decided to go on a press tour.
So you went from selling merch to doing press. These are the baller moves, though, that we would want the Bone Racing team to make.
And then finally, chat also gets to decide my answers in press conferences, and they've destroyed my reputation already by making me say really self-centered things or just answering no comment.
Yeah, because you get some kind of boost for the performance at your pressers. Yes. And one of the races I was tuned in for, Jared's teammate had a higher boost than Jared did as a result of the answers that chat provided him for his questions. So if you tune in, not only will you be entertained, but you also actually get to actively take part in Jared's career that is about to unfold as it just started last night. And he will be back Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on twitch.tv/Formula Bone with his next race. Like I said, I'm not an F1 guy, never really watched, haven't seen Drive to Survive, generally invested as a result of Jared's brand, Formula Bone, here at Bolen Media, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the Twitch streams, not only the one last night, but the ones leading up to it. And I can't wait for Monday. It's been a blast. And really, the funnest part of it for me, and just in general, the funnest part about Twitch, in my opinion, is getting to communicate with all these people in real time as you all share in this entertainment experience together. So if it's a daunting thing to you, or you're like, I don't know anything about Twitch or video games or whatever, like, I promise you it's not as daunting as it seems. It is super easy. You just go to twitch.tv/Formula Bone and enjoy, and then type in the chat like you would in any chat anywhere.
And I read it.
And Jared reads it and responds live in real time and stuff. It's pretty amazing. So appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking with us while we dealt with some of the health issues of the past couple weeks, and for me, the past 9 months. And we're excited. We've got a lot going on at Bolen Media. Hit bolenmedia.com/shop. Support all our brands. Check out Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. I dropped my first ever episode that's just me today, discussing Yellow Jackets, the show on Showtime that I watched, as well as some of the Marvel MCU movies that I caught up on. I watched 3. I joked that it was 6, but it was actually just 3 more over the course of COVID, and I reviewed those, including Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avengers: Age of Ultron. And that's our TV and film podcast here at Bolen Media, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Also, Jared's whole F1 brand, Formula Bone, has its own podcast as well, available wherever you listen to RBP, called the Formula Bone F1 Show. So listen to that wherever you listen to RBP. And if you're from Houston, Banging the Can is our Houston sports podcast, but that qualifies for very few of you. So we'll be back soon. Follow us on all the social medias. Tell all your friends and family about the Ross Bolen podcast and what we've got going here at Bolen Media. We appreciate you. Until next time, peace.